I'm Tiffany Sauder, entrepreneur, wife, mom to 4 girls, and a woman figuring it out just like you. If you're tired of living a life of have to and finally ready to build a life of want to, then you're in the right place. Come on, let's go build your life of and. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Life of And podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Sauder, and excited to be jumping back on the pod here. It's like the first day where it like kind of feels like fall here in Indiana, and I'm recording this on October 9th, like wild. So it's like full sweater vibes. It's very fun. Quick update on the drama of where are the Sauders living. Our house went on the market yesterday, which it's something so weird. If you've moved recently, you already know this, but it's been 10 years since we've moved, so I don't remember. I feel like moving is like having a baby. It's like you do it again because you don't remember. That's how this feels. We're doing it again because we don't remember. Fully do not remember. But it's so weird to see your most personal spaces and belongings like on the internet on a Zillow listing. It's so weird. It's so weird to me. So house went live yesterday, and first day of showings is today, and we have 4. So far. I say so far. We have 4 scheduled, which feels pretty great. Feels pretty good. I'm so excited to see what happens. But our first showing was supposed to be at 8:30 this morning, which again, if you've been through this recently, you know what it takes to like live in a house and make it then look like nobody lives there when you leave. And so, yeah, I mean, everybody had to go to school this morning, get ready for work. I'm like, the shower is going to be wet still because we just took a shower like 32 minutes ago. Like packing lunches and picking up every tiny little crumb. I don't know. It just like feels like the most insane thing. So I remind myself daily that we chose this. Nobody is making us do this. And also it's still a little bit funny. And like, just like, you know, half your stuff is packed up. So my hair is on the dirty side of dirty. I mean, please, let's find a time where I can actually get my hair wet and wash it and have time to dry it. And so this morning I was like, oh, all big cute vibes. I'll have like jeans on and a sweater and like a baseball cap. Well, I've packed up all my baseball caps, apparently. Apparently, I decided that those were something I didn't need for 7 months, so gone. So here we are. It like literally looks like I must have used wax this morning to put my hair back, but no, it's just grease. So it's funny. I'm doing my best to just sort of giggle my way through it and not lose my mind. Like my girls left. I never make them make their beds. It's like one of my things where I'm like, it's just not worth the fight. I don't really care. I don't want to manage it, so I don't really care. I told them last night, please make your bed in the morning, and nobody did. And I was like, I hope her tire pops on the way to school. Not really, but I was just like, one thing, please somebody help me. So I do momentarily turn into an insane person, and that's not really who I want to be to my family, but sometimes I let myself go there. I should own the behavior because it's not like somebody's making me be crazy. So, okay, well, that's all you need. You're like, I'm done with your house update, Tiffany. I want to talk through an example that played out in our house like 2 weeks ago with my oldest daughter, Aubrey. And I was able to use the Life of And Toolbox with her, which made me eternally happy. I don't know if it made her quite as happy, but we solved a really big problem for her using the Life of And framework. And I thought it was just like a really simple illustration of how to apply the framework maybe in your own life into something that's like just kind of grown into something bigger than you anticipated. And so I'm going to set the stage, and then I'm going to quickly walk through some of the different tools that we used and encourage you. I guess look for the pattern in it. Like, yes, it's clearly like the story of a problem we solved for her, but it's more about just like a really discrete application of the tools. So here's the backdrop. It was Friday night around 8:55 p.m. And Aubrey had been back in school for 3 or 4 weeks, and everything was like at full tilt. So classes were, sort of running fast. She was having tests. So her swim schedule was at full tilt, and that was falling on her calendar. And then she's also in a competition show choir at school, which is like an AP class that she takes. And they have choreographers that they fly in from all over the country. And it's like a really cool experience for her. But it is also like most kids, all they do is show choir, if that's their thing. And show choir season and swim season are in the exact same season. And she is the only swimmer on the Zionsville high school team who also does show choir. I say that to like because she's incredible, but also to just say like, it's insane. Most people don't try to do both of these things. So she came home on Friday night. They had just had after school a 4-hour session with a choreographer. And then she was going to go back to the high school on Saturday, and she was going to have swim from 8 to 11 in the morning. And then she was going to have 3 more hours with the choreographer from 2 to 5 p.m. So she was coming off of a huge week of school and then going to go into a huge Saturday. And she came home at 8:50 or 8:55 and was mad and teary and completely overwhelmed. And she was exhausted and probably hungry too, all of the things. And she was just like, Mom, I can't. And in her, 16-year-old version was just like, I'm burnt out. I'm fried. I'm over it. I cannot do this. I don't feel qualified. I hate everything. This is too hard. I feel like I'm going from thing to thing to thing. Like literally 2 nights that week, I had taken her dinner in the parking lot in her car because she has a half hour between them. And so she would like get to school for early morning practice at like 5:50 in the morning, do school all day, then go to her second practice after school for swim, and then eat dinner in her car, and then go to show choir. So this was like what her week had been. And that is a massive week. So she was just like, I'm over it. I'm over it. And she was crying as I kind of like dug into it because 3 things were happening. One was she had gotten a B+ on a physics test. And for her, that's like a values violation because she was like, I know I can do better than this. And her grades are very important to her and school is very important to her. And she's like, this is a values violation. If something is going to take away from my grades, it's not okay. So that was her values screaming at her. The second thing is that she swam since she was 8 years old. And so she really wants to see it through to her senior year. She's really close to the squad and the team. It's like, she's like, I've done it since I was 8. Like, I'm 8 years in. I need to finish this second thing. And the third was she loves to sing. It's like a totally different part of herself. It's like a artistic expression for her. And she's an incredible student. Swimming is all about math and precision. And so show choir is like a release for her. It's a different kind of friend. It's like a different place for her. And she just loves to sing. And so she's like, I don't want to give any of these things up, but the only path I see forward is to quit one of them. Which, how often is that the thing that we see in our own life? This is like where the Life of And was born, where it's like, when I'm overwhelmed and I'm burnt out and I'm feeling crazy and this is unsustainable, the very first thing my head goes to, the very first idea I have is, what do I have to completely stop? Because it feels like the only way to get life back into any kind of alignment is to quit something you love. So that was exactly where she was. And I know that we all can, like, I've been there and I know you have been too. It's like the only thing that we can do. And in particular, when there's something that we want to do because it's aligned with our values, again, like singing and dancing is part of her value of like release and enjoyment in a different way than the rest of her life. And getting good grades is very important to her. And so she's like, I don't want to give up either one of these. And she's very loyal relationally. So she's like, I'm feeling a values violation because these commitments are not allowing me to get the grades that I know that I could otherwise get. They don't know how to solve this other than just to either be mad and resent it all, to keep going and it feels unsustainable, or to quit something that I love. Those were the 3 options that she could see. So I sat her down and I said, the first thing that we need to see is it actually too much, or does it just feel like it? It's like the first question to ask yourself. Is it actually too much, or does it just feel like it? Because sometimes you're tired and hungry and it's like raining outside and it just feels like too much on that day. And really what you need to do is like eat some protein, go to bed, take a shower, and, like just sort of like start fresh. And sometimes life corrects itself once you do those things: food, water, and sleep. But sometimes it's actually too much. So we sat down and I actually said, Aubrey, right now, this was Friday night, and this is where she was like, needed a hug, which I did, but also was like, let's think through this. I said, let's write down explicitly the number of hours that you spend in these 3 areas of your life. So school, like being in the school building, is 37.5 hours a week. Swim practice, just being in the pool, is 17 hours a week. And show choir is 8 hours a week. Okay. And then I also said, the school and the pool are not in our driveway. You have to go there. So we're added 30 minutes a day just for driving. Okay. to the school, back to get food, pick up her sister, whatever the thing is. So we added another 2.5 hours. So that's 65 hours a week that her time is committed to something organized, being in the pool, at show choir practice, or in the school, or in her car. But that does not include time to eat dinner. That does not include the time that she needs to study. That does not include our time that we go to church. That does not include like even her packing her lunch for the next day and packing her swim bag because she gets ready at the school 4 mornings out of the week. Like all of that preparedness and readiness and studying and being good at time, none like stretching, whatever, like she needs to do. Those kinds of things are not included in that 65 hours for a 16-year-old kid. And I said, Aubrey, you don't just feel like it's too much. It is too much. So let's figure out how to change something so that you feel like you have some semblance of control. So we validated. Does it feel like it's too much or is it actually too much? And I said, for a 16-year-old kid, for 65 hours to be completely planned and scheduled, and that does not include probably another 20 hours that she needs for those other things that I said, preparing, studying, church, etc. That gets you 85 hours a week. Like she's running a very tight schedule, and I can see why you feel burnout, honey. So I wrote down and I said, what do you think you need? What do you think you need? Because your first idea is to quit something, but it makes you cry every time you think about quitting something because you actually love it all. So that's a good sign, right? You love it all. Because sometimes you look at something like, well, if I got to quit something, I would quit this. I just don't know how to quit it. That's a different problem to solve. But for her, she wanted to do all of them because she loved them all. How many of us have been in this season in life? You love all the things that you're doing. It's just not fitting together. So I said, well, what do you think you need? I was like, don't figure out how, just what do you think you need? And she was like, well, if I could just have one day where I came home from school and could study with like a brain that wasn't tired, like if I could just have one day, because every single 5 days a week after school, she has swim practice right after school till 5:45. So she comes when she can come home, and she doesn't really get showered and stuff until 7 p.m., like eats dinner, showers. So she's not starting her schoolwork until 7. That's like late for her. She's an early to bed kind of a gal. She's like, if I could just have one day where I came home early from school or on time from school. And I said, okay. So you would go from 17 hours in the pool to 15 and a half if you came home one day after school. It's like an hour and 45-minute practice. So I'm off by 15 minutes, but so you went to 15 and a half hours a week in the pool versus 17. That's like kind of the same number. That's not like cutting her training in half. If she came home one day a week right when school was over. I said, okay, would that help if you picked a day of the week? What day do you think you would pick? And she's like, well, probably Wednesday because we have a long practice Wednesday morning. So I'm still swimming that day. Okay. I said, okay, well, when are your tests usually happening? She's like, well, they're usually Thursday or Friday. It's like, okay. And do you usually know your tests when they're going to be like a week in advance? She's like, yeah, for sure. We always know when our tests are. I said, okay. Well, one of the things you're frustrated about is that you can't perform as well on your tests as you'd like to because you don't have time to study. You could use your Wednesdays to studies for tests that are usually on Thursday and Friday. Do you think you could go talk to your coach about this being renegotiated? You're the only swimmer who's also doing show choir. Do you think she'd work with you? And at first she was like, no, I don't think he'd let me. It's like, so let's talk about why you think he wouldn't let you. Like, does he know that you're doing both things? She's like, yes. And I said, as I recall, last season you did both. And he was like excited about and said he would support you and do what he could. I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you go ask? Is he says no and you feel a little bit embarrassed. But the best thing that can happen is that you go ask and he says, yeah, no problem. That totally makes sense. Like, you've shown yourself to be responsible. You show up on time. Like, he's not thinking you're trying to slack off. You literally just need some time to manage one of your other commitments. And so what did she do? She went and talked to him, and he gave her Wednesday after school off so that she can go home and study. And she's a completely different kid. The idea that she could have some agency over some of her time and know that there's a place where she can study, completely changed her outlook on feeling like a victim to her schedule and feeling like it doesn't matter how hard I work, I'm always behind. It doesn't matter how prepared I am. I always feel like I'm supposed to be somewhere else. It doesn't matter. I feel like I'm failing. And this one change completely created this like release valve. It's like the pressure was like, psh, like, you know, that feeling, it's like, it's just too much. But the ball does not need to be half deflated. It needs like 5 pounds of air let out. And when we can do that in a really controlled and intentional way, we can get all of the ands to move forward in our lives. I mean, who has not been here before where it's like, I feel completely overwhelmed. I'm doing things I've chosen. I, in fact, love them all and feel called to them all and want to do all of these things, but I don't have a way where I can see how they fit together. And so our first idea is to quit something. What do I have to give up? Well, maybe you don't have to. Ask yourself really explicitly, what is it that I want? Like what would make you feel more in control? And for Aubrey, it was, if I could just have one day where I came home. It's like, well, that actually feels pretty solvable and addresses the thing that actually made you mad in the first place, which was you were not as prepared for your physics test as you wanted to be. And that was the values violation that got your attention that said, I'm pissed. I'm not doing my best. I don't like this performance from myself. And that values clarity that I teach, the Life of And framework says you got to get clear on. When you're clear on your values, that guilty feeling, that pricking of like, this does not feel right to me, is a really powerful tool to help you look at your life and say, what part of what I've said yes to needs to be renegotiated? What part of what is happening is not making me feel like I can be my best in these areas? And so I don't know. I was very excited to see it work in her life. She knows I'm like so nerdy, like, look, we did the thing. And this is what I want you to learn how to do and take agency over your choices and know how to advocate for what it is that you need to be able to be successful. And sometimes, you know, in her world, it's a practice schedule and a syllabus. That's what's telling her what to do. But we have all kinds of expectations on us. I was just doing a call with a woman yesterday who was like, well, we always do 1 hour weekly one-to-ones with all of our direct reports. That's what our company has said we're going to do. It's like, is that the right template? Does that serve your priorities and theirs? Does everybody need the exact same minutes? Like these conventional things that we put in our lives sometimes need to be challenged a little bit so that we can get the real and the right things happening in our lives so that you can deliver for yourself and for your family a life of and that you feel like super proud of. So anyway, framework and action. I guess that's maybe what this episode should be titled is, how do you take this imperative of, I will do it all, which Aubrey's all was school, show choir, and swim. But what and how are two different questions. What I want to do, you have to get clarity on. How you do it is a totally different question than what it is that you want to do. And when we get stuck on the how, we oftentimes can bury a what too early instead of really challenging ourselves to think differently about it. So, okay, that's a wrap for today, you guys. Thanks for listening. If this episode has been helpful, well, I'll give a plug maybe here too. One of the things that we're doing in 2026 is if you are an executive woman in particular, so have a team in leadership, P&L responsibility, like in a leadership or executive leadership role, I've put together the Life of And Academy in a 1-day workshop. And it's only 6 women that go through it. We did one a couple of weeks ago, and it was just wildly successful. I had this hunch that senior executive women need this content, want this content. I find that when I talk to them, like, oh my word, please give me this. But just don't have the calendar availability to be able to join a cohort. And so I was like, what if I just did like down and dirty version and took them through it in a day? So we did that. It was incredible. If you're interested in joining one of our sessions in 2026, this is an example. It's got some of the tools in it and literally throwing up problems. We spend the first 4.5 hours learning frameworks, and then we spend the second part of the day solving real problems in your life, and would love for you to join us. So if you're interested, DM me on Instagram, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I check those DMs pretty consistently as well, or email my sort of inbox that both Samantha and I monitor. So that means that I'll respond to you, is Tiffany@TiffanySauder.com, Tiffany@TiffanySauder.com. If you're interested in joining, let us know and we'll reach out and get you more deets. So anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. So thanks so much. Hope you guys are having a great fall. Thanks for listening to the Life of And. This is your weekly reminder to keep making bold choices, saying clear yeses, and holding space for what matters most. As always, if you like this episode, I'd love for you to drop a review and share it with your friend. It's the fastest way that we can grow the show. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time.